What's up, Big Nation? This is David Labby with Big Man Fitness, and I'm coming to you today on April 30th. It's Sunday, 2017. So, let's jump right into it. I really don't have a lot of time. I have to leave shortly with my wife. We got back from church. I made some bacon for lunch. Had my cup of bulletproof coffee, even though it's technically not bulletproof. It's just coconut oil, MCT oil, and cinnamon, which is how I like it. Because I'm staying away from dairy and all that other stuff. So I figured out some problems with my diet. And I just want to really be transparent and say that I'm not perfect either. I was not measuring out as well as I should have been with the amount of food that I was eating, and I ended up eating, I was eating way too much. I was actually closer to like 3,000, 3,500 calories each day, sometimes even as close as 4,000 calories, even though I was eating the right foods. But here's the thing, something that I really want to hone in on. I lost another pound today, right? So with my phone, I was 307. Without my phone, it was 306.2. I don't care. I'm down 1 pound, which shows that with diet and exercise, eating the right foods, the quality of the food is important. It's extremely important. I actually think quality of food versus quantity is the first step in the process to make things easier, because it's when you're hungry and you want to eat, it's easy to go out and just grab a couple of burgers. It's easy to go out and just, grab something simple to make, mac and cheese and throw in some hamburger or something like that. And that's fine, for people that are on a maintenance diet or anything like that. You have like a small side of mac and cheese. Though there's different versions of low carb. Some people are way more on a varying scale of very strict to not so strict, and then others in between. I can get more into detail. Some people believe that high protein is the way. Some people think low protein. Some people think a moderate protein. Some people are like moderate fat, high fat, low fat. With ketosis, fat's important. And I think between a moderate fat to high fat is better for you with extremely low carb, because having high fat and high carb is not good for your body whatsoever. It does things hormonally. It does things cardiovascular. That is the way to carotid arteries, to having a carotid artery. Because the triglycerides mixed with the sugar and a few other things happen in the body with it that when it can't be utilized, and that's how you end up with blocked arteries. So please, guys, one thing that I really want to, as I'm thinking of it, don't ever eat high carb and high fat. It's bad. If you're going to eat a moderate carb diet, there are healthy ways to, have things in moderation. But ketosis is, one, great for shredding, and two, for people that have a hard time with managing the quantity of things. And now that I'm learning more and more about myself, my habits, and I'm really starting to hone in on what my habits are, it's helping me to assess things in a different way. And also with all the challenges, I never expected the challenges that I would face coming into this in the ways that they happened. It's kind of like when I started my first business, and I must have read over like 50 entrepreneurial books, everything about business plans and the problems of startups, and I read like 100 different articles, and I was like, oh, I got this. I can avert every problem that they talked about, and I hit every single problem in different ways that I never expected them to come, and it was a learning curve, and that's what life is about. And what lifestyles are about. It's not about being perfect in that moment. It's about assessing, doing the best that you can in that moment, assessing it, and then being able to have a plan in place, a strategy in moving forward. So with the amount of food that I've been eating in the past few weeks, I think that me really honing in on what my caloric intake is and the portion sizes of my meals and the timing of my meals and the timing of my water intake and everything else, getting a proper plan in place and getting the preparation in place. Just stop being, I need to stop being stupid. I need to stop wasting my time and utilize my time appropriately, because getting things in place in the evening and setting yourself up for the morning is the best thing I've ever done. Just taking 15 minutes to a half hour in the evening before I go to bed just to get it ready. It doesn't take long, especially once you get into practice. Repetition, repetition, repetition. When you first start off, just like when I first started off my exercises, right? I've done these exercises 1,000 times before, but then I stopped for a long time. Now that I'm getting back into the motion, I can whip out 10 to 20 push-ups like nothing, because my body, my muscular memory, right, knows exactly what it's expecting. And also, understanding what certain pains feel like, because sometimes certain things are uncomfortable. Stretches, right? When I first started doing some major yogic stretches, it was painful. Putting my going to go down and touch your toes, and lengthening the hamstring and the calves, and that's there are 3 places on my body that are not used to being stretched and are painful. Like, it's actually, I can feel, it's almost like electricity going through that part of the muscle when you're doing it, when you're starting off. And now that I have an expectation of what it feels like, I know what to expect. I know how to breathe through it, and also it's much less painful now than what it was. And I'm not saying push yourself to the point of extreme pain. I would ease away from the pain and push through the discomfort. There's a difference between pushing through discomfort and trying to push through something that's actually painful, like true pain. Yes, there are times you're going to have to push through something that's slightly painful, but you have to gauge that. You have to be able to gauge that for yourself. I can't, my wife can do things that I can't, because she's super, she's super flexible. She can bend. She used to be a dancer. She used to do a lot of different things. I can't, I can't do splits. I can't like bend backwards and do a full bridge or anything like that. It'd probably break my spine. But you don't start off that way. You build into it. You ease into it. And the same thing with your mentality and your diet. It's just like building anything. You start small, go big. Start small, build it up. You ease into it. Just like I'm doing with 1 rep every single day. Today was definitely a little bit tougher than normal, but I think I found out what some of the problems were with this. And me losing a pound today, like I'm not super excited about it, but I am excited about it, because that means that what I'm doing is working, and me being on the 5th loop on my belt, the fifth hole on my belt, the 5th notch. There we go. That's the word that I'm looking for. Makes a huge difference to me, right? That means it's working. I'm getting smaller. That because there's multiple aspects of weight loss. There's the adipose tissue of your skin, like what you have, like right underneath your skin. So there's fat underneath your skin, and everybody knows that, fat on your belly, and you can't spot reduce. But losing fat over time, there's the other aspects of inflammation, and the other one that many people don't think about is the fat over your organs. Having too much fat on your organs is not conducive to a healthy lifestyle, and that's actually what causes a lot of health problems in a lot of people, because fat is absolutely necessary. You need fat in your body and around your organs in order for them to have the energy that they need to function properly. But then there is that limit, that threshold that you go above, and that's why fatty liver, fatty kidneys, fat around the pancreas. It causes inflammation because adipose tissue can become inflamed quite easily, and it swells. Inflammation is good short term for injuries and healing. So that's like when you get a bruise, there's inflammation there because it's protecting itself, right? But prolonged inflammation is bad for the body because it's not meant to be inflamed for that long, and it causes issues with circulation and everything else. There's a lot of things that you can look up for medical journals, and also documentaries that will talk about this. And a few things that I take in order to help with the inflammation is one is turmeric, which helps out. Cinnamon kind of helps out with that. That's more for insulin regulation and other things. But turmeric's really great. I take an aspirin every day, baby aspirin. So those types of things can help out. There's a few other, apple cider vinegar, and a lot of other stuff that you can do that can really hone in and help out with your inflammation. Also help relieve you of as a diuretic of some of the excess fluid. But I'm gonna take a sip of my coffee. So guys, 3 aspects. I'm gonna make a video of this later on because I'm just focusing on this 13-week experiment, and then I'm gonna really hone in on like what each aspect is. So three things that are key components to your diet: quality, quantity, and time. Right? So think about it like this. Think about your cardiovascular system and how everything's pumping through like pipes. It's like plumbing. You go to dump something down the drain. So you have you have a garbage disposal. It's fine. You have like some pancake mix or something like that, or you have other stuff. Putting a few things down, and running the water, running the garbage disposal, it's fine. You start throwing things down the drain. You're throwing, all this biological matter, and it's grinding it up, and the water's flushing it away little by little, right? But then you suddenly just fill your sink, and so that's all the food that you're eating, right? But suddenly you fill your sink, right? It takes time for things to be processed. If you keep on feeding yourself at different times, your body has time to process that stuff, right? And flush it away. You try and do it all at once, it's not going to work as well. I'm hoping that this is a good analogy. I'm going to try and think of something else. This is the first thing that popped into my head. Another one that I try to use to explain to a buddy of mine was, flushing, was mixing pancake mix, right? And you add, a cup of pancake mix, you add a little bit of baking soda, you add a little bit of water, and you stir it in as you're mixing it in, and it mixes up nicely, and it's easy enough to mix in. But then you add, and that's how much moisture that you have in your body, right? You have that's how much water, hydration, what your hydration is in your body. But then you add a whole pound of flour, right? And you only have so much water that's in the bowl, right? It doesn't mix up so well. It's very thick. It's not gonna mix up. It's not gonna it's clogged. Even though there's nothing to clog, but you understand that's what's happening when you don't have enough water, when you don't have enough food. Hydration is extremely important, and timing. Making sure that you're spacing things throughout the day. So instead of drinking like a gallon of water at once, having a mason jar, right, every few hours or every couple of hours. I drink just about a gallon and a half to 2 gallons every day. If I drink, one every as soon as I wake up, and then I drink another one every 2 hours, one with and then one with my meal, one with and one with each meal, because I eat like 2 or 3 times a day within my 7-hour period, because I eat between 1 and 8, or at least I try to. Last night I ended up eating until 8:30. I know, but these things do matter. Getting your timing down, getting your quantity down, getting your nutrition down, right? Your body needs certain things. That's why you eat so when you have a higher nutrition, one thing that helps me with overeating way too much is making sure that I'm keeping up with my daily vitamins. And throughout the day, I take supplements in the morning to get me started off with my bulletproof coffee, and it keeps me it helps me out. It keeps me going, and then having some more later on, right before I eat my lunch, which is technically my first meal of the day, helps me out as well. And then having some right before I go to bed, right, gives me nutrition that my body's going to need throughout the night, because most of your recovery happens in the evening when you're sleeping, when you're in REM, and your body needs nutrients to do that properly. Your first sleep cycle is usually the longest, so usually that's about a 3-hour sleep cycle, but you're only in REM technically for an hour and a half, just about. So you go down into REM sleep, and then you come up out of it, and then you go back down, and each time that you go back into REM sleep, you're not in there for as long, or not usually for as long, but that's when your body is doing the most repairs to everything that's going on, to most of the functions, getting rid of stuff, and also drinking water right before you go to bed is pretty important as well. Even though you might get up sometime in the next 4 hours. I drink about 8 to 16 ounces before I go to bed, and I wake up about 4 hours later. I get up, go to the bathroom, come back, go back to bed, and I'm fine. Even though it's a split cycle, your body, once you get used to it, knows going into REM, coming out of REM, go to the bathroom, come back, go into REM, go out of REM, go into REM, out of REM, and then you get up, and that's usually my 2 4-hour sessions. Just about. I usually sleep between 6 to 8 hours for sleeping. It's usually around 6 to 7, but that's my body. Anyway, I know this video is getting really long, and I want to say thank you. It's just about 1:10 right now. I got to get going to a buddy's wedding of mine. That's why I'm wearing a halfway decent shirt. Now, one of the problems that happens when you start losing weight is you start getting it's loose. It's very loose, and I don't have a shirt right now that fits nicely. I didn't prepare for that. I didn't think about that, because I do have t-shirts that I bought that fit better, which are my XXL, which I'm now into a 2XL, which is awesome. So I'm now at one of my goal shirts. I'm still waiting until the very end to wear my primary goal shirt on June 3rd. But anyway, guys, remember, be informed, stay motivated, and live big. Hooah.